opportunity that we have right now to welcome to our church, back to our church, Scott and Carolyn Pouncey and their family. We just want to thank you for being here. This is a couple that is here from Romania right now, and they're here to explain a little bit about the ministry that they have and the opportunities that they're involved in. And after they're going to share with us for a few moments, for a little bit, then they're going to go downstairs and share with our children during the children's church. And so when you see them walking out, it's not because they're leaving, it's because they're going downstairs to continue. And so we really appreciate that opportunity. And so we just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for all that you're doing and for being with us this morning. And God bless you as you come and share with us.
We want to thank you for inviting us. It is good to be back. We just flew in on Tuesday, so we're still getting over some of the jet lag. But it is good to be here to see friends that we haven't seen for a while. We just wanted to give you an update as to what we've been doing the last year in Romania. When we got there last summer, the ministry started very quickly. We had 3 teenagers from New York who came. They landed the day after we did, and so we started ministry. These are 3 college-age kids that are thinking of doing missions as an opportunity after graduation, and they wanted to spend 6 weeks with us to see what mission life would be like. Too many times we see that some of the kids think that missions is just only planting a church, and so we wanted to show them the many different opportunities that there are out there. And so we took them around to various ministries and various things and tried to show them 10, 15 different ways that you can serve on the field. So we spent 6 weeks with them. It was a really good time. Some of the time that we did, we were working the ministry that we were working with over there a lot this last year. They're building a boys' home. So we spent a lot of time out the boys' home. And then while we were there too, the girls, if you go to the next picture, the girls had both served in Romania multiple times. And they said that Romania was a place that they had really felt that they had both drawn closer to the Lord. And so they wanted to be baptized. Neither had ever been baptized. And so we were able to baptize them in a river. So it was quite exciting for us. Then another thing, because the boys' farm is attached to a farm, we have some animals out there. And we got to experience birthing of 2 cows during that time. And I can tell you that birthing a cow in a small village in Romania is much different than birthing an animal here in the United States. They have many superstitions and beliefs that just would surprise you. Shortly after the 3 kids from New York left, we started our formal language training. And so we go twice a week for formal language, 2 hours a day, twice a week. Our teacher tells us that we're doing really well, but we still feel frustrated because we want to be able to speak better with everybody. We were able to speak with the street kids fairly well, but it's mainly because that they speak a lot slower and they don't use big words, so it's easier to communicate with them. And then out at the farm, we were working on a roof in September, and I was walking through the attic and unfortunately didn't see it and went through a hole. And I fell and I broke a number of ribs. And we got to, we've been married 31 years this year, and I've never been to a hospital, but now I've been to a hospital in Romania. And that was quite an experience. I could probably spend 30 minutes just telling you about the things that you see in a hospital there. But everything is pretty well recovered. You still feel some stiffness and stuff, but some of that is just aging. Then, probably a couple weeks after the accident, we had a couple come from Australia and came for 4 months. A couple years ago, we were working in another city in Romania, a city north, and we got to know this couple. And originally, they had said that there was this couple who was coming and they were going to work on construction and they were going to camp out. And so, in your mind, you think, oh, it's a young couple that's coming to camp and that they're going to be very adventurous. And so we go out to meet them, and Jeff is 70 years old, and his wife, and it's like, wow, that's not who we were expecting. But we really connected with them, and we had a good time. They had written at the first of the year and asked if they could come. They said, we think we still have one more mission trip in us. They had traveled all over the world and built in different mission organizations. He knows a lot about construction. So they came, they worked on the farm with us for a couple months, but then it started to get, and they were camping out there, but then it started to get very cold, and there was no heat, so we worked with them and finally got them to come, and they stayed in the apartment with us. But we had a really good time with them for the 4 months that they were there. Throughout the time that we were in Romania, we did a lot of work in a day center. The day center is a street ministry. It's for street kids that live on the streets. You know, they sleep out on the streets at night. We provide a place that they can come from about 11:30 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. They come, we do worship service, we do Bible study, then we feed them, and then after that, then they have the opportunity to shower, to wash their clothes. We have a washing machine. You know, just to help them to cope with everything that they're dealing with out on the street. So we spend a lot of time there at the day center. Next one. Have any of you ever seen the movie Holes? I think it's a Disney movie. Okay. I don't know if the picture shows it well enough, but there was a group from the Netherlands who came, and they wanted to, it was a youth group, and they wanted to do something at the boys' home. They had raised some money. So they decided that they were going to plant 200 fruit trees and 50 grapevines. So that picture, it's very long, it's probably over 100 meters long, but there's 250 holes. And so we felt that we were in that movie Holes, because there were just holes everywhere. And at that time, I was still recovering, so I couldn't dig. So Carolyn and I were responsible for planting. So we had a lot of the street boys out there, and they're just digging all these holes, and they had to be 4 meters deep. They were really deep, and then we had to throw in the manure and stuff. So it was quite an experience, but we did get them all planted. We're hoping that in a couple of years we'll have lots of different fruit that is growing on the farm. We got to experience Thanksgiving in Romania. Go to the next one. We decided that about 3 weeks before Thanksgiving we wanted to get turkeys. And so we stopped at a village and we bought 2 live turkeys, and we had them at the girls' home where we help out with a lot of the girls. The girls had to feed them, care for them for those 3 weeks, and the girls named them. If you can see, I don't know if you can see, but one is named Thanks and one is named Giving. So they put little signs on them. It was really fun until the day before Thanksgiving. Carolyn went inside. She did not want to stay, and the man who runs the ministry went inside. He did not want to be there. And so it was 2 of the girls and myself. We had to prepare the turkeys for the meal. But they did a really good job, and it was really fun. We invited about 35 different people, probably 10 missionaries from the United States that we work with over there. They came, and then we got to share our traditions with 20 of the Romanian people. So it was a lot of fun for us. We also did a Christmas program at the day center. These are the street kids. One of the problems that you have with the street kids is that they tell us that Christmas is the hardest time for them. That because they want to forget the pain and the sorrow of not being with family at Christmas, that's the day that they use the most drugs and stuff. So we wanted to try to make it different this year, and we presented it to our board and some people. We were able to raise enough funds that we put on a big Christmas program. And because it's the street kids, we have usually about 20 to 25 kids that come. We had about 45 that showed up for the Christmas program. And we had presents for them. If any of you have seen Samaritan's Purse where you get the boxes, we were able to get boxes for each of them, and we went through all the boxes to make sure that we had appropriate gifts for all the kids. And we call them kids, but a lot of these kids, maybe started when they were 10, 11, 12 years old, but many of these are 25, 26-year-old people now. You wouldn't know it by looking at them. They look more like they're 40 or 45 because of the drugs and some of the effects of it. So we had to make them age appropriate too, but hopefully it was a really good time for them. And we also did Christmas at the girls' home. We spent a lot of time with the ministry that we work with over there, they have a girls' home, they're building the boys' home, and then they have the street ministry. We've acted as the house parents for the girls a number of times where that couple needs to be away, and so we go in and we take over for the girls. And so we've gotten very close with some of the girls. It can range. We can have anywhere from 4 girls at a time up to as many as 8 girls. It just depends on, some of them might leave. We've had one run away. So you just never know. But we've had at least 4 that have been there the whole time that we've been there. And then right after the first of the year, we did a wedding for the street people. 2 of the street people wanted to get married. It's a couple in the middle there. Mariana is a gypsy girl, and they've known each other for 12 years. She's 28, he's 26, and they have a daughter. They wanted to get married, but you can imagine being street people, they don't have any clothes, so we had to do everything. We had to get a suit for him, a dress for her. We got a dress for their baby girl, Gabriella. We had to get the church to donate the place so that we could hold the service, and then the pastor. So everything had to be donated, and we even got a band to come in. So it was really nice. It was fun to put on the Romanian wedding for them. And then, right at the end of January, the church that we go to over there, they were getting big on doing evangelical outreach, and they wanted to do outreach programs. So we put together a program where it was an outdoor ministry. We went to a place where an old apartment building that's no longer being used, and we did an outdoor ministry. It's in January. It's about as cold as it is here, so you can imagine it was very cold there. We cooked goulash outside, and then we cooked coffee and hot tea, and then we also passed out a number of hats and gloves and stuff for them. And then we did a drama program that presents the gospel message in a way that the street people would understand it. Then at the end of February, go back. Okay, these are some of the girls. This is actually at our apartment. We invite the girls over periodically on a Friday night so that they're away. They get to come over. The youngest girl, she's 9 years old, and then they go to the oldest, Angie, who is 28. Probably all but one of them are gypsy girls, and that's one of the things that you see over there. You see a lot of the gypsies. The gypsies are the lowest class of people, and then if you're a gypsy orphan, you're really the lowest, because they, throughout life, on their card that they carry with them, it says that they're an orphan and that they grew up in an orphanage. And so if you're a gypsy and an orphan, you're really the lowest class, so it really makes it hard on them. And then that's Carolyn and I. We're cooking the goulash there. And you can see the old apartment building behind, and that they do have a lot of snow, so it was cold. At the end of February, because of financial reasons and many other reasons, they ended up closing the day center. So we started looking at different things that we could possibly do. We started a lot of talks with another ministry up in a city north of us that we have had some experience with. We lived up there for 2 years. It's a couple who run an orphanage. They have 12 children, but they were wanting, 2 of their girls are in college. They're in their first year of college, and they're wanting to do transitional homes. And if any of you have stayed up with what we've always wanted to do, we want to do transitional homes for the girls that are coming out of the orphanages, so that they have a place that, when they're in the orphanage, all the decisions are made for them. And so they don't really know how to live on their own. And so the transitional home provides them with the opportunity to experience living on their own by having some supervision, so that they learn how to shop, they learn how to pay their bills, they learn how to budget their money. This home was wanting to do that because 2 of their girls were of the age that they were wanting to get out. So we've been in talks with them, and if things go right, we present to our board tomorrow night. We have a board meeting that we're going to collaborate on a transitional home. They have the home, but they don't have the funding, and so we will work to get the funding for them, and that we will put the girls in there. Lessons that we've learned this year. You can see all the hats. Stay there. No, go back to the donkey. This is out at the farm, and one of the big lessons that we learned was us by this donkey. We came one morning. You go out every morning, and the donkeys and stuff, they'll meet you. But one morning, this donkey met us, and you're looking at him, and it's like, huh. One of his back hooves was gold. And, the first thing, I thought of Michael Jackson. It's like, well, he's wearing one gold glove, and it's like, he's trying to be really cool. And we couldn't figure out what it was, but it turned out that he had stepped on a tin can, and it went right over his hoof. And it was right at the base of the hoof where if it starts cutting, it's going to cut into the flesh. So we tried to corner him and pull the tin can off, but it was really stuck. He probably had it on there for a few hours, and it was stuck. So there was 3 of us, and we took him into the barn. Now that was an ordeal. As you know, donkeys he didn't want to just go into the barn, so we had to herd him into the barn. And we hooked him, we had a stall, so we hooked him into the stall so that his head was at least, he couldn't be jerking around too much. And just the stress of that, he ended up pooping all over the stall. And so now, and I'm sure the women thought this was really funny because they're just standing there watching us. But inside it was not as funny because we have now poop and the donkey, and there was like right here is a manger. And so the one boy was sitting in the manger, and Cherbu and I were trying to push the donkey against the manger so that he could reach down and cut the tin can off. And I got the head of the donkey, and I'm trying to talk to him. It's okay, we're trying to help you. And he reared up and went down, and so it tore up my knee. And then he went forward, so I hit the wall. And he was like, donkey, we're trying to help you here. And the boy that's sitting in the manger, he's just laughing. He thinks it's really funny, And now the donkey's really stressed, and he's got diarrhea. So we got stuck, we're dealing with it, and it's like, oh, this is really getting bad. We finally did get the hoof up, and they cut it off, and we got the donkey, ran out of the barn. He was really happy. But then God told me, he said, that's just like many of us, that I want to help you, but you fight me all the way, and that you just don't want me to help you. And all I'm trying to do is do something to serve you, and we end up fighting him. The second, go to the next one. Just about a month ago, we were in the car on our way to that city north of us, and we had to fill up with gas. I let the car get very low on gas, and we were going, and then it starts dinging at you, and so it's like, uh-oh, we really got to get gas. There was no major gas stations, so we were going through a village, and I saw a gas station over here, and it was very low price. I was like, well, let's go there. So I filled it up, put in $110 of gas into the car. Everything seemed to be fine. For 3 or 4 days, it's running just normal. And then all of a sudden we were at a stoplight in Timisoara, and when I went to go, I have no power. I'm going about 5 kilometers an hour, and I got it floored, and just and you do this for a minute, and all of a sudden it kicked back into gear. And this continued to happen and happen, so we were talking to some people, I said, what is it? They said, well, back in communist times, the gas stations would water down the gas to try to make extra money. Now they said the major gas stations don't do that, but the village gas stations do. So unfortunately, like I say, I filled up the entire tank. So we spent the last 4 weeks there that we would fill up as often as we could. I put in gas cleaner, but periodically we're still experiencing that where you don't have the power. And we were talking, it's like that's just like what we hear with many of the different churches and some of the teachings that we hear that's going on these days. It's watered down, and it's not the true gospel message. And so that, when you come into a crisis and you need the power to get through that crisis, you don't have it because the gospel message that you're hearing is not the true gospel. So those are the 2 biggest lessons that we learned while we were over there. And then, next picture. Why are we here today? Well, many of you probably knew that when we were here a few months ago that Chelsea Sue, she was going to be a missionary in Afghanistan with Wycliffe, and she was actually over there, but they did not renew her visa, so she had to come home, and when she came home, she met a young man. They are here with us. She is getting married. After they get married, they're going to go back to school. Chelsea's going to finish her master's, and then they want to go back on the mission field someplace. But now they'll go as a married couple. So we are home for 9 weeks to mostly plan the wedding and to be with them. So appreciate you inviting us.
We just wanted to mention on the back table, one of the girls from the girls' home, and we have a little note back there and a picture, loves to make bracelets. And Angie is the oldest of the girls at the girls' home and lived in the streets until she was about 16, so she's never been to school. She does have some limited capacity of learning, so she goes to a special kind of a work school. But her favorite thing to do every day is to come home and make bracelets. And so she kept making bracelets and giving them to me and asking if I would bring them back to the States and sell them, and all she really wants to do with the money is buy more thread to make more bracelets. So anyway, if any of you are interested, they're $1 a piece on the back table there. And I just want to encourage you, not just for us, but for all of your missionaries. I was in the hallway reading the board and reading through your missionaries, and really it's anybody who is in any kind of public ministry, that the best gift that you can give them is to pray for them. I know we hear that all the time, you hear it all the time, but I just truly want to say, there are days that are just very, very difficult on the field for anybody, and for those in public ministry, even here in the States. Anytime you're engaged in any kind of public ministry, you will always come under attack. And like I said, the best, most precious gift that you can give is to pray for your missionaries. Even if you just verbally say their name aloud and just take that before the Lord, their names. It doesn't have to be any profound prayer. Just to say their name and take that to the Lord. They need wisdom on the field. They need discernment. They need encouragement. All the problems that we face here in families and marriages and financial and sickness, you face them on the field too. You face them wherever you go. They're not super spiritual people, believe me, on the field. But, we face the same struggles. And missionaries are just very lonely people often. We're very thankful that we've been married for 30, almost 31 years. And we have an advantage, really, of being a little bit older because we have just a little more life experience. But we meet some young people, missionaries on the field, and they are just hurting, struggling people. And they often feel like they don't have anybody to talk to because they're kind of put on a pedestal. And so they're often just lonely people who don't know how much they can share with their congregations or with the people that they serve. So just, they can live on bread and water, but they can't live without the power of the Holy Spirit and the prayers of other Christians and other believers supporting them and encouraging them. So I just want to put that out there as a challenge, like I said, and if you take the name of all of your missionaries on the board there and just pray for them. And if you send them an email, just say, I'm praying for you. That's all you need to say. And that is just like sometimes all we've needed is to wake up in the morning and see somebody said, they're thinking about us. And that is enough to give you renewed strength for the day. So thank you very much.